live look from the Inn of Spanish Head Resort Hotel in Lincoln City. Thanks for watching Afternoon Live. The staggering statistics of lives lost during the Holocaust are alarming to anyone, but to our next guest, the story of the Holocaust is very personal. He tells the story of his own father's remarkable survival in the new book, Not a Real Enemy, the true story of a Hungarian Jewish man's fight for freedom. We welcome to the show, Dr. Robert Wolf is joining us. Dr. Wolf, thanks for joining us and being here.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Putting all of this into a book, what inspired you to actually put it down on paper for everyone to read?
Well, my mom and dad wrote my dad's autobiography back in the 1970s. They wrote the events leading back to all the way back to the 1920s when he was born, but they remembered the stories as though they'd happened the previous day. They were very sharp, they were very detailed, and they started with pencil and paper, then to a typewriter, then to a computer. I read the book probably once, maybe 25, 30 years ago maybe, but I didn't think much of it at the time with career and family and just being busy with life. Flash forward to 1997, my dad passed away, unfortunately. 2016, my mom passed away, unfortunately. A historian friend of the family from my mom's hometown handed me the disc with the story. And I'd taken care of my mom's affairs after she passed, and I retired for a year. A friend of mine, I needed help reading x-rays. That's what I've done for the better part of 30 years otherwise. So I went back to work from home, reading studies. And in between cases, I loaded up the disc. It sort of summoned me. And I was reading my dad's book in between cases, and it really meant a lot more to me the second time around. It was a lot more memorable. The stories were fantastic. They were amazing. They're astonishing. They're unbelievable. Just stories of survival, chapter after chapter, were just. It was very captivating. So I just decided I wanted to really share the story with the world, and we have. I mean, especially with anti-Semitism on the rise, as the backdrop throughout the story. But this is now 2018. I finally get into doing this, and 20 edits later, I met through another author, this wonderful co-author Janice Harper. She's sort of from your neck of the woods. She's from the state of Washington, and she did a remarkable job redoing the book. It's got conversation, it's got parallel stories, converging stories, letters from home. But it's all about my dad's story, the way he told it. It was just rearranged a little. So 20 edits later, picked up a publishing company, Amsterdam Publishers, worked with them to get this book published, and here we are. About 4 years later. It's a fantastic book and a labor of love and a very heartfelt project, and I really wanted to share it with a lot of people. So that's. Well,
I want you to be able to share too some of your father's story and everything that he went through. So share a little bit of what happened.
Well, it's so the book is multidimensional. It's a biography about my dad. It covers it's a history light book. It covers the history of Hungary, little-known Hungary, from World War I, where my dad was a military captain on a ship. He was also a doctor, as was my dad, and then carries us through a relatively peaceful 20s, where my dad had a sort of a nice, spoiled type childhood. Really didn't have a lot of conflict or controversy, although his parents were very strict with him. They were disciplinarians. And then anti-Semitism was on the rise, of course, in the 30s and into the 40s, and then World War II broke out. My dad was taken to a forced labor camp. He escaped. He was in several forced labor camps. They did a lot of marching. It was very tortuous, a very harrowing experience for him. Finally, he escaped twice and survived all of that. And then he was a man on the run for months, hiding places he was hiding that you wouldn't expect, people that would help him that you wouldn't expect, people that ended up being his enemies that you wouldn't expect. And then finally, months later, meanwhile, his parents were taken to Auschwitz. They were deported. And my dad, it took months even after the war for my dad to find out what actually happened, what their whereabouts was and what their destiny was. So it's also, again, it's a story, not only the history, but my dad's biography and the triumphs and tragedies of his parents and the way they navigated peaceful Hungary and wartime Hungary. Mostly it's an adventure. I mean, it's adventure after adventure. And so it's all tied in together with, it's not just a book about the Holocaust, although the epicenter of the book is the Holocaust, but it just covers a lot of things besides the history. And it covers determination and resilience and integrity and the will to survive and how any one of us could be under these kind of pressures, under these kind of harrowing circumstances. But in spite of that, my dad just overcame it all, and it's remarkable what a nice person he was, how easygoing he was, and how much he loved practicing medicine, and how good he was at it, and and that was redemption. Is that he finally got to be a physician and ultimately in a free country.
Dr. Wolf, thank you so much for sharing. And we want to encourage people to get your book as well. I appreciate it. There it is, Not a Real Enemy. We'll have more information on our website at KATU.com.